This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
What's going on, man? We got a huge show coming up right now. I'm excited about tonight, man. A lot to talk about. Got Bill coming on, man. Got the man of the hour.
Sick.
Got a lot to talk about.
Sick.
So, what's going on, man? First off, let's get it out of the way. Were you able to bowl league Tuesday night? Did you get a chance to go there, or what?
No. We had bad weather on Tuesday in New Jersey.
Oh,
as a matter of fact, I got another snow day tomorrow because we're gonna have more bad weather tomorrow. So bless up on that. But
God.
we had some bad weather on Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
and while they held league, I did not go. I am like 40 minutes away from where I bowl, and the roads that I take there, when I tell you that it is a treacherous road that I have to take to get there, that is an understatement. Okay. Dead animal carcasses litter the road, including deer, potholes galore, flooded portions of the road, regular road closures in the section of road. It's Texas Road in Jersey, if you feel me on that. But yeah, I just decided to sit it out because with the weather and everything, and after snow blowing all day and doing all that, I was kind of like, you know what, I'm just gonna chill and call it a night. So no bowling for me this past Tuesday. Plan to hit the training center Sunday. I'm gonna go out there on Sunday. I'm gonna book a pair for Sunday and go out on Sunday, get some work in. So yeah, that's it. Not a lot of bowling from my end. Also, want to tell the people who are watching or who watch this as a video podcast, I apologize for my crappy lighting situation tonight. I don't know, like this has never happened before. We came to set up, and I have this streak of light coming down halfway through my screen. So not the best setup, but I'll get it worked out by next week. So yeah, not much bowling for me, Rob. Injury check-in?
Yeah, my MRI is this Saturday, and then I have a orthopedic follow-up on Wednesday. So by Thursday of this next show we have next week, I will most likely know what is wrong and then have a timeline of when I will come back. So I haven't really done anything else other than just kind of rest it, not lifting weights and not bowling.
Rob.
Yeah.
Nico kicks off the show by mentioning
that we stole Bill.
They're out here trying to scoop our guy from us.
Okay. First off, we've been on way longer than Beef and Barnsley's been on. So if anything, any of the guests they have on, essentially they're stealing from us at this point. Being one of the OGs now of the bowling podcast world, we're coming on 5 years now. We've been doing this. And I don't think even Bill, who I know is in the waiting room right now, I don't think he even thought we'd be on for 5 years. If we asked him, I think this would be, especially he knows me, how much I start things and never finish them. So I think it's probably a proud moment for us coming on 5 years. We might have to do some kind of 5-year anniversary show, like the greatest hits and the greatest highlights of 5 years. Like, you know, when Seinfeld, when they did their middle episode and they like show the best of. I think that would probably start with maybe a Joe Stillman highlight interview with some Norm Duke clips and Walter. And I mean, we've talked to so many legends and just craziness guests that, yeah, we should think about doing that. But anyway, enough of the bullshit. Honestly, you didn't bowl, I didn't bowl. So,
I think you should invest as we bring Bill on here. You should investigate the comments. What's going on with the comments? The comments have to be. There's something wrong with the comments. Has to be because we only got one comment from Nico.
No, you're not seeing. I'm seeing a bunch here right now.
Really?
Oh yeah, you're not seeing them. I'm seeing a whole lot here.
No, okay.
People asking you about your bachelor weekend.
Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. All right, I got them.
How was your bachelor weekend, Mike? You know.
Oh my God. Oh Jesus. Listen, I picked 5 out of the 6 games correctly. Okay, I had Green Bay money line over Dallas in a 16 parlay. Okay, I picked 5 of the 6 teams correctly. And
I see Bill laughing.
I see Bill sulking his head because he knows where this is going. And what team did I pick incorrectly? You all know the team I ride with. So
your boys.
My God, I don't even want to talk about it. Yo, that was a $50 parlay to win 3,000.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
All right, let's bring on Bill because
let's bring him on. Let's bring the champ on.
Waiting.
The newest PBA major champion, Bill O'Neill. What's up, homie?
I'm dying at the 16 parlay. I love when you post that stuff on Twitter and you'll be like, "Oh, look at how my gambling's going," and it's always like 5 and 16 parlays. Like people regularly hit those. There's a reason why nobody hits these because there's always one leg that screws you. That's 50 to win 3,000, and you lost the Eagles game, which was the last game. You should have hedged.
I thought about it, but I didn't want to. I
didn't want to make money, Bill.
No. Listen. I didn't want to have to.
Tampa Bay was underdog. You could have bet like 1,000 Tampa Bay on the money line, and you'd have made like $1,500.
Okay, here's the problem. In order to do that, I would have to go to the wife and explain the situation and explain the hedge and go through the whole situation. And even with that said, she's still probably not going to let me take $1,000 and put it in my gambling account and ride with it because she will look at it no matter what I say as there's some way that we're going to lose this entire bet. So no, I didn't even want to get into it.
She would have noticed that before the money was back in the account?
Oh yeah. She gets alerts for anything over $200.
What, Mike? Why don't you reach out to me? I'll put the money up for you and bet here.
She runs a tight ship around here, son. If it's cash, no problem. No problem. I got no problem there. But if it has to go through official channels, we could have a serious issue on our hands. I'm just saying. So maybe the answer is I need to get myself a cash bookie. I think that might be the answer, actually.
All right, I'm just picturing the house when you're not in the room and her phone vibrates and she looks at it and it's like an alert of something that you bought and like how angry she is, like, "Oh, Mike."
I will say that the last story that I have of that happening is so inappropriate I can't even tell it on this podcast. Okay. That's what I'll say about that. But yes, that what you just described happens on a regular basis. Okay, happens on a very regular basis. All right,
that's incredible.
Enough nonsense. God, dude. I mean, what I want to ask is, what does it mean to you to start your season in this manner?
Yeah, dude, it's really like wild. Like I didn't. Like usually the first tournament of the year, I had one year where I won the first tournament when we were in Dallas a few years ago. But usually at the beginning of the year, it's not that great for me. Usually I'd like to bowl myself into shape and it usually takes me a couple weeks to really get back in the swing of things. And then I haven't bowled a tournament in a long time, and I've been practicing a lot, but like hurting myself at the end of the summer and really not bowling for like several months. I was like, man, you know what? Great tournament would be like, top 12. If I get the top 2, that'd be awesome. Like great start to the year, and then I had a big travel mess up where I didn't even make practice. And so I got all these new balls that we're trying to, 9 months since we bowled on tour, we've come out with 60 new bowling balls in that time. So try to figure out what's going to work out there, and because whatever we use whenever I practice with at home, you take it out on tour. It's a whole different balls you think look good, or what hooks, like the oil's too thick out there. It's just a whole different beast. So you're trying to get used to all this stuff, and so I really just tried to keep it like as simple as I could. I'm like, I know I'm going to like this Black Widow ball because I like all the Black Widows. And so I'm like, I'm going to make sure I have a couple of these, a couple of the other balls I like. And once I saw that urethane was going to play for a little bit, I'm like, all right, we'll get a couple of games out of that, and then we'll see where it goes. And I don't know, I just kept going. The first day went well. I had a good night block at the first day, and was inside the cut, and just match play came, and I'm like, all right, if I can get a couple of games out of urethane again, that'd be great. And then the first block I used the whole time, and I only used reactive for like 3 games of match play. So it's really, really crazy, like to like go all the way back to the beginning of the week and see where it ended up. Definitely not something I would expect.
But I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong to go as far as to say that to win this major in the first event in the season for $100,000, like it makes your season already after one event?
I mean, I guess, yeah, like, financially, I guess you could say that, but like it just started. Like, I got like, I'd love to win the player of the year and things I haven't done. Like it makes it easy. It makes, not, I wouldn't say it's easier, but like, yeah, you like the second tournament of the year. I'm not like, oh, man, I got to get off to a good start here. I got to, make sure these first couple games are good, because I want to, that stuff kind of goes away. So it does make it a little bit easier to go out there and kind of figure things out. If the tournament's not going well, and maybe experiment with some other things, or take gambles in events that maybe I wouldn't with the way I'm playing the lanes, because it's a little bit too high ceiling, low floor type of thing. Maybe something I wouldn't do if I was just trying to get some points or whatever. So yeah, it makes it easier. But I would say because it's the first event, it could work the other way, where it's like if it goes bad, I look back and I go, oh, that was awesome, I won that major, but the rest of the year sucked, and then I kind of like leave the year on a sour note. But mentally, obviously, I'm in a great spot right now.
Well, tonight is the official kickoff of the Bill O'Neill for Player of the Year campaign. Okay, I want to announce that right here on Sweep the Rack. That's part of the reason we brought you on tonight, folks. Get the word out. Our boy is in the running. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in the running. Yeah. But like this is like in the football season when like somebody throws for like 450 yards in week 2, and they're like, oh, he's on track to the MVP. It's like, all right.
I gotta ask Mike, because he served me up for that first question that I wanted to ask him. Right. You had an interesting quote, I think, when you got interviewed by the Bowl TV, Mike Flanagan and crew, about the 78 the 78 black hammer that you were throwing. The interesting quote was that you felt that ball was actually rolling better for you than maybe say a purple hammer would have rolled for you, because of how much less it hooks than the purple hammer. I was kind of interested in that quote, because there's been so much talk in the offseason about how the urethane is going to perform on tour. We didn't know what the 78 hardness was going to do for the rule. Can you talk about what you saw with your 78 black hammer, and can you expand on that quote, on how much you think that actually might help you out through the season when urethane is in play?
A caveat, can you also comment on how you didn't think the new urethane balls were going to work? Because when I had spoken to you personally, you were one of the people who was like, no, these balls aren't going to work. They're not going to hook. I'm telling you, you're not going to see them as much. And then first tournament, I think it's the only ball you threw, and like 78 out of 79 people were using it. So if you want to say you were wrong about that, that's okay. But go ahead.
Yeah, I don't recall the conversation being I was that strong of an opinion and I think what I said is we'll have to see when we get out there. Here's my initial opinion of the balls, but like I just said before this, whatever happens at home has no bearing on what happens on tour, because it's two totally different beasts. But yeah, so it's going to be week to week, I think, with the new urethane balls, and because it's all based on the lane. It's all based on how they do the lanes, and it's based on the centers. There's always been my position about bowling balls in general. It's the lanes. The lanes dictate everything. And when I first started bowling Team USA, we were bowling a tournament in Puerto Rico, and we all were using old black hammers, the old ones. And we bowled this team event, and we used them for all 3 games, and we all bowled like over 750. And those were the old ones. So like it's the lanes. But for this particular event, why it helped me more than say a purple hammer would is because I got to stay straighter. Where the purple hammer, you could stay straighter when you can throw it hard, but sometimes for me, because my rev rate's a little bit less when I try to throw it harder and straighter, that I can't get it to continue down the lane. Where some other guys can stay a little firmer and they can throw it straighter, and it still hooks enough to get the corner pins out. This place at North Rock also is one of the better carry centers that we have. Pins fly around there when your ball's rolling right. And so I think that also helps the harder urethane balls too. And so we'll see when we get into places that maybe the pins don't fly around as much, and it's a little, when you start to flat 10 a few times, you're going to start doing things differently with the way you play the lanes. And then, so once you move in a little bit with the harder shells, you're not going to be able to strike as much. And so being able to stay straighter because of the way the lanes played and because of the way the pins flew around makes those balls a little bit better, and you can use them for a little bit longer. So I mean, we'll see how it goes from different centers and different patterns.
Yeah, well, I predict more urethane. Okay, more urethane. Black hammer continues to reign. How do we feel about it, Evil Empire? How do we like it? Okay, first tournament of the year. Hammer urethanes running them over. I'm doing God's work on Twitter over here for you people over at Hammer. Okay.
Well,
I told your boys, send your boys some balls.
I have a question. I got a question. So you see, I've heard a lot of these opinions. You keep saying all this stuff about how you knew the balls were going to be the same. You know, but you were very critical of our team picking Jacob for the league. So I don't know how you reconcile both of those opinions.
I wasn't the one doing the picking. You guys were the ones doing the picking, and you guys were the ones saying the balls weren't going to work. So if you're the one saying the balls aren't going to work, and you're the ones doing the picking, and you pick a guy who relies on that ball, I'm sorry, I don't like that pick.
No. But then you just threw your opinion and not ours. You can't use, well, you guys are the ones picking, and then use your opinion. Well, I'm talking about your opinion that the balls were going to be fine, and then also your opinion that picking Jacob was bad.
Put me in the position where I'm doing the picking, and I probably picked Jacob Buttriff way earlier because I wasn't convinced that the balls weren't going to work. I don't think. But you didn't say that. You said we should have picked him. You said it was a bad pick. I know, because based on what you believed at that time, yes, I believe it was a bad pick. Now, if you turn out to be wrong, if you and your partners, okay, I'm talking to you, Tommy Jones, too, okay, and I'm talking to you, Norm Duke, as well. If you guys turn out to be wrong, if you expert Hall of Fame all-time bowlers turn out to be wrong about what was going to happen with the urethane, and it so happens that you stumbled into a good pick, then great, congratulations. But let's be clear. I don't think that's what the reasoning was at the start.
The reasoning for what?
The reasoning was it was a bargain at the time that you picked them. Yeah,
I never argued that it wasn't a bargain at the time we picked them.
Okay,
it was a good pick. Right. I thought it was a good pick. Yeah, and I think Buttriff is very good with non-urethane. I mean, I live in this area. I see the kid bowl all the time.
The tour's a different beast, though. Did you hear our boy? He said it twice. So I can't see it I don't believe it until you see it out there, and we haven't really seen it out there.
Well, also you did also have a front row seat of him bowling 260 against me in the Players Championship with a reactive ball, right?
I did. Okay. Yeah, one game.
But that's what we're bowling though. We're bowling Baker. We're bowling.
Well, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every day. I mean, I'm not, a flash of lightning, only strikes once. So.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you got to go all over.
Taking guys who have bowled on TV and have been successful in throwing those shots, I think is a good risk to take. No.
Well, like I said, it was a bargain pick. So in that regard, okay, great. If it turns out that it works, awesome. But I don't. You tell me why he didn't get picked earlier in the draft. Then
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
Was it the injury?
Yeah,
I'm
the
going
injury?
to put my headphones down and walk off.
No, because you're right, because people were skeptical of the Purple Hammer situation.
Okay.
However,
the injury.
you can look at, well, maybe that too, but you could also look at other lefties that were drafted before Jacob that don't have near the accomplishments that Jacob has, and also bowl with the Purple Hammer.
I'm telling you,
had success with that ball.
After this podcast is over, I'm going on Bet Rivers and I'm putting money on the Dallas Strikers because I hope your teammates listen to this. I hope you tell them, I have your back, son. Clearly there's some camaraderie on that team. I can appreciate that. I'm sorry for criticizing the pick.
I was just asking you to defend your opinion.
No, it's
the
fine,
balls were going to be good,
do.
and also the pick was bad.
I do. Rob has more questions. Go ahead.
I do. I want to let's talk about the show because
ask him about Wichita.
Okay. Well, I was going to get to that after, but we could jump to that. Being that we bowled in college together for, the 3 years, you bowled 4 years, and we bowled notoriously against Wichita for almost our whole career, right? Rash and Bohr and crew and Gordon Vatican. Was it a little bit sweeter to be able to win this title in the heart of Wichita, not only beating Ryan Barnes, who bowls for Wichita, but honestly, in their home field, their hometown, you literally went into the probably the greatest bowling program
the Lions Den
of all time, right? as a guy bowling for Saginaw Valley, which was known for bowling back in like the 90s and 2000s, but now that kind of program
is known for different things now.
Known for different things now, but so was it a little bit sweeter just knowing that the whole crowd and everybody was really pulling for Wichita, and here you are, a guy who didn't bowl for Wichita, Saginaw Valley, and be able to win that title in the Lions.
Yeah, I think it's definitely cool to you feel the black and yellow throughout the audience. that was cool. But I think most of the people that are there, they don't even really. I don't know if they even remember that I bowled for Saginaw and that we had a rivalry.
Right.
So like it wasn't. It doesn't feel. If it would have been like 10 or 15 years ago, I think it would be a lot different.
Or if Saginaw still had a program.
If they were still good, if they were still representing like that.
Right.
Yeah. There was a lot of silence after I threw that Brooklyn against Ryan.
I was going to bring that up, though. Did you see Chris's reaction?
Huh?
Did you see Chris's reaction when you did it? Have you watched that show? Have you watched that shot?
I don't need to. I know
exactly. You ready? Here it is. I'm going to do it. Hold on.
Yeah.
It was like when Dan Dorian, it was like when we would go right through the nose and double nuts on Baker, and dude, he was like for literally I was shitting myself laughing.
Yeah.
I was just like, Chris is in the crowd and he's about to literally lose his shit, and I was dead laughing. I was just like, he was just.
Well, that's because he knew the next shot was going to be cash money. That's why.
It's too good. A follow up to that, and this is just inside information that I like to hear about. How much ribbing is there? How much flack will you catch? I try not to curse on the podcast. How much flack will you catch amongst your peers on tour, especially the older, more established guys, for a crossover in a big spot like that? Is there any jokes that will be made, comments here and there, something of that nature?
I mean, maybe. I'm sure at some point somebody will say something. But I think it matters because it was in the semifinals and not the finals. I think might get lost a little bit just because it wasn't the last match. But I don't know, because if I was only up by one and I did it and then struck out to shut him out, if I leave a 5-pin like I did in the title match, I make it and probably still win. I probably still strike spare in the 10th, still win. So
here's the thing.
Everybody, if you've been on tour long enough, you've had that happen to you, and you've done it. Barnes, Brooklyn to win the Roll the Riches.
Roll the Riches. I know. I was tweeting that out.
We've all had something.
The thing about it though is a Brooklyn in a weird way shows actually how hard those lanes are in a sense, right? Because if you throw it kind of bad, I mean, you went Brooklyn. Like, it shows that if you threw it bad, like, you weren't going to go through the nose. Like, you were literally going to go Brooklyn. And it just shows how much shot making was actually, like, really, really what you needed to do on those conditions, because it looks like they started out pretty high scoring. Obviously, Ryan went like front 7 or front 8. But with all the urethane getting thrown, I'd imagine that carry down and transition was pretty brutal by the time you got to your final match. And I guess that leads me to my next question is the ball switch. There was a lot of talk on Twitter about the ball switch. You went to looks like a shinier pinup 3.0. Can you talk about what happened during the transition to the semifinal to the final? Yeah. What was the conversation with your ball rep, and what led to that decision?
So, well, to your first point about the lanes, when I did Brooklyn that shot, when I let it go, I thought I was going high. I thought it was going right to the face, and it went like kept going and went like runaway Brooklyn, and I went, oh, wow, that was not what I thought I was going to do, because like when I look at the lanes, I try to like view it in like 3D, and so I'm looking at this and I'm like, all right, I got this dry over here, and there's this giant mound of oil left of my target, and so every time I miss a little in and throw it hard, it don't hook. So I'm like, all right. So when I missed in, I'm like, I knew I missed in too much, but I thought it was gonna catch that oil for a little while and then hook down the lane in 3-6-10 or something. And it totally missed it. It was so I'm like, oh my God, there's nothing left of where there's like two boards left of my target. Left of that, there's nothing. It's gone. So I'm like, oh man, that really. So that kind of leads to the transition to the last game when I threw the first shot in the 10th against Ryan. I threw it good and struck. And then the second shot was like a little bit off. It was like just a pinch to the right, and I missed it just a little bit, and it flat 10 like real hard. It had no chance. And I'm like, oh, this ball with some surface on it is not going to cut it. And I watched Smallwood, like he got 2 shots at each lane before my semifinal match, and they're striking, and he looked great. So I'm like, I could bowl 217 again with this dull ball, but it ain't gonna cut it. So I gotta try something. And I'm like, all right. So I'm gonna move a couple here, and we're gonna use the shinier ball, and I'm gonna try to create a little angle so that I can use the hold left of me to my advantage. And I'm gonna try to slow down and hook it a little bit. So if I miss in, I'm not missing in throwing it super hard. I'm a little slower, and I just try to create a little angle. And the first shot of the championship match, I threw exactly where I wanted to. I was soft with my hand. I rolled it. I got it to the right, and it boomeranged off the gutter and went high. I'm like, oh, well, that's not good. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll just make a little bit of a move when I get back on this lane, and we'll see what happens. Then I got on the right lane, and I threw a pretty similar shot, and it never hooked. I'm like, oh, well, I can't do this. There's no way. I can't be in a position where I feel like I have to bowl a big game and be fighting whether or not I'm going to go high or 2-pin. So I'm like, I'm just going to go back to the spot I was in with the dull ball, but throw the shinier one and just throw it the same. And hopefully it kicks a little more down the lane and gives me a better chance to strike it. And the next 2 shots struck. I'm like, all right, good. I'm in. And then I thought I threw one good in like the 5th frame and left the 2-8. And that's where I kind of spiraled a little bit for a couple frames.
Why urethane all week and no urethane on the show?
Because the previous 2 matches were urethane, and they were just getting so tight down the lane. And so all week, once that spot got too tight for me, I couldn't hook it at all. And once I start getting to the point where I have to really hit it and really slow down, every miss to the right goes high, because I'm like really close to the dry there, and they got really wet dry with the urethane balls. And when you're on TV, everything happens so fast, and you don't get a lot of practice shots. So like when I came back in for the semifinals, you get 4 shots in each lane, or you get 8 shots total. You can take them how you want, but you kind of have to go with a plan. And you have to be like, all right, this is my plan. I'll have like maybe a plan B off of this one, but nothing crazy. It'll just be, here's my plan, and here's my 2 balls that I'm going to use, because you just don't get enough shots to really experiment. And if you get those 8 shots, and let's say you throw 2 of them that aren't great, you don't even really get a great read at them, and then you're at 6 shots, and it's like you're trying to scramble. So you're just I've been doing this a lot on TV for the last several years, is just taking balls and putting a little more surface on them and staying further right, just so I can know that it's going to pick up in the front, because that's my on TV, that's my big miss, is I pop up a little bit and I throw up a little hard. And so you try to do something that can limit that miss. And I kind of learned that over the years watching like Walter and Norm and a lot of these guys that like were really good on TV. And I would, man, why are they good on TV? And I used to watch them. And then I would see like throughout the week, and you'd catch Norm in match play, and he's hooking it. And then all of a sudden he gets to the TV, he's using a different ball, and he's put a little service on it. He's just always playing further right than everybody else. And he's keeping it simple. I'm like, I think there's something to that. Now he's obviously great at playing straight, but there's something to that, to that idea of just kind of making it a little more simple, because there's so much going on and everything happens so quickly that you just try to dial into something that makes you feel comfortable.
This win reminded me, like your strategy in this win reminded me a lot of the win you had. I forget what event it was, but it was against Brian Valenza, where the lanes were just toast, and he was lofting it halfway down the lane, and you were kind of faced with a decision of like, all right, am I going to try and do something like that, or am I going to come back the other way and play them straighter and just sort of use what I can do to keep it in play? And yeah, I also would feel that way about the title. I think, Rob, you were there for this title where he won on Cheetah using the low flare arson.
Yeah, I was actually I won half that title, FYI. So actually,
you're probably right.
Not a lot of people at that time played them in the way that you played them, using that ball in that title. And that would be another example I would point to of like a situation where you did something a little bit like outside the box in terms of how you might expect somebody, or especially you, to play them. But yeah, it worked out, I mean, great, to your advantage. Did you think you were dead?
Yes.
I thought you were dead. I'll be honest.
So let's see, I left the 2-8 and I made it, and then the next shot I was on the right lane and I yanked it, and I left the 5-pin. And then the shot after that, I threw it back again, because I was like really kind of spooked after that 2-8. And the other couple strikes I had were like light mixers, and I'm like, damn it, I wanted to try to get my hand into it a little bit and keep it up the lane, but I wanted to catch it a little bit, so I had a little more down lane motion, or at least make a hook in the front, something to do where I wasn't gonna just hydroplane down the lane. And both those shots were, I stood up on them and I just got too. I hit him. As sometimes like my mistake is where I'll try to catch it a little bit, and I just overdo it with my shoulder, and it kind of like rolls over, and I'm, and I do too much with the upper body, and that's what those two shots were. And it's split, and I'm like, damn, he just threw like a 3 in a row, three in a row, like split the 8-9. I'm like, I just split. I'm now down like 25. I'm like, this is bad. It's bad. So I'm like, whatever's gonna happen, I'm gonna need to strike in the 8th and 9th. Even if I knew if I got up and struck in the 8th and 9th, he was still gonna have to at least finish. So I'm like, all right, let me, just get back into a better frame of mind here. And then, he fluffed another one in the 7th, and I'm like, and then he did what in the 8th frame, he did what I was trying to guard against by playing the lanes the way I was playing them, because I knew that's what happened to me all week when I moved in, especially in match play. Once I started using reactives, every time I missed a little bit in or threw it a little bit hard, the ball never hooked. And it was even more so on the TV pair, because the TV lanes are always tighter down lane on TV. Every TV show I've ever been on has always been tighter down the lane than the qualifying. And so then he yanks it a little bit, throws a little hard, leaves a 2-8, and then he throws it in the same spot, and it doesn't hook again. And he missed a spare. And so I was like, oh, wow, I can strike out and win. Pretty wild turn of events. I'm like, all right, let me just I got to, back my hand back out of it and just be soft, and try to be as soft as I can, and just lay it on the lane, hope it hits 3 or 4 and strikes. And there was about the 8th and 9th was as good as I could throw them. And I just sat down and I was like, all right, you're going to have to get up here and double to win this tournament. And then before I knew it, I look up and I'm like, I just have to hit the lane.
I won't.
Like I just keep it in the lane. Like, how did this happen? So like, it was really wild ending, because I never been in that type of situation on TV where I've just like, sat there, and then before I got up again, it was over. So like I didn't even know like how to react or what to say, or because I was totally taken back by what had happened, and yeah, it was a total shock.
That was one of the most radical changes of a lead in a match that I've seen in quite some time. I think a couple questions from the chat here.
Mhm.
This is a good one, and I don't know if you already answered this, Bill, with what you just said, but Kevin's asking, in your opinion, what happened to Smallwood's reaction? Was it the lane change that drastically? Did he not have the right kind of look, or was it what you mentioned before about just there being that section of the lane that was tighter down lane?
Yeah, I think what happens the way that the lanes transition is that he threw that one in the 8th where he just missed in a little bit and it just doesn't hook. So then he just gets up in the 9th and he's like, all right, just don't throw it in, just don't yank it in and throw it hard, and I'm good. I'll just be softer and I'll get it going to the right, and then all of a sudden that one goes sideways. They were wet dry, and he just didn't happen to hit either one of those spots. The 4 shots in a row he threw in the middle that were good, they were kind of all in the same spot, and so he threw them great from my perspective. The way it looked when I was sitting there, those shots were all perfect, and so then the ones that weren't, he didn't see it because he was bowling his practice shots. They were all perfect shots. Everything he was throwing it great. And so you throw that like one shot where it does something you may not be expecting it to do, and then you're like, oh, all right, let me get this one right, and it just goes high, and then all of a sudden he's up in the 10th, and now he needs a double to force me to mark. And so he was probably a little bit amped up, and he gets, he's kind of upset. So he gets, the adrenaline starts flowing a little bit, and then he just does the same thing. You yank it a little bit, and he's a little juiced up, and he throws it hard and 2/8-10s.
I got a question, Mike. I got a question. Before we talk about the urethane in practice, did Smallwood's comment after he left the 7-10 and you rolled a 2-pin? Did his comment kind of like, okay, game on now? Like, did that put you in like, you're already in game on mode, but now if it's me and I'm bowling and I'm on TV and I'm bowling for a major, and all of a sudden my opponent takes a little jab at me, I'm all of a sudden going, oh, it's on now. Like, and I know the old Bill back probably when we were younger would have probably went back at him, but the wise, mature Bill stayed on his game plan, stayed mentally, level, and was just like, let me win this tournament. But was there a part of you that wanted to go back at him after that comment?
If I'm being honest, I didn't hear him.
I was gonna say, he ain't listening to that.
I didn't. I didn't hear it. So who was I just talking to? I was talking to PJ earlier, and he mentioned it to me, and I was like, but that's probably something I would have said. So like, it's not sure. Yeah, like, like I'm watching too. I know I rolled the 2-pin and you left the 7-10. Like I saw it. It's definitely not something that's gonna like, make me angry or anything, because it's, it is what it is. I mean, that's what happened.
Can I give my opinion on that, Rob?
Sure.
You don't get to complain about breaks if you miss spares. Sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
Make the spares.
That was before. But that was before that, though.
Yeah, that was before.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, in general,
That's a tough
spare. He doesn't know at the time he's going to miss the 2-8 later.
All right, fair point. Question from the chat: did you throw any urethane in practice before bowling Ryan, and was there any consideration of using it?
No. That's a great question. No, I didn't, because I saw the writing on the wall. I saw it at the end of practice when we went over that. We get like 8 minutes before the show starts, and I could already see it at the end of my practice where I couldn't get it to hook quite right where I wanted to play, and then every time I got a little slower, it hooked immediately, and I'm like, oh, this is no good. There's no way I'm going to be able to use this. And then I could even see it with Ryan's ball a little bit at the end of his match where it started to get a little like that's going to be the biggest difference for the harder urethane balls to the softer ones, is that once that spot in the front goes, there's really not a whole lot of moves you can make, because as soon as you move a little left and try to throw a little slower, they're just not going to hook as much down the lane, where the purple one would dig in the front the same way as the black one, but it can keep going down the lane. So you have a chance to hook it a little more. Where this week during the qualifying, before you hit TV lights, like we were just able to stay straighter longer, and that's the reason why those balls stayed in play.
What does a practice session look like for you typically?
Is this like in general, or like is this like people? Because most people don't know how the TV stuff works. So
No, in general, I think they mean.
Bill doesn't practice.
Yeah, at this point, at this point, like I have everything. Like at this point in my career, I'm like dialed into exactly what I've had. So many reps of throwing it slow and spinning it, throwing it slow and rolling it, just separating my angles, doing all the things I need to do to stay versatile. That I know exactly what that feels like. So when I go to practice, I just I bowl my 8 game for a little bit, and then I kind of move around and just make sure that I'm dialed into those particular things, to make sure that my angles are right. And usually I bowl like 4 or 5 games, like 3 days a week.
Okay,
Mike, I'm gonna throw a comment up here because I think this is a good question. Bill, what's something that you would suggest people work on if they aspire to bowl on tour?
Well, the one thing is the same thing I tell like junior bowlers, that you have to bowl everything. You have to bowl tournaments like everywhere. Just bowl as many tournaments as you can, because you're going to see different lane conditions. Even if you're bowling some on house conditions, some on sport conditions, just bowl anything. Like because the bowling tournaments, practice is only going to do so much. The feeling of throwing a shot to make a cut, when to cash in a tournament, that's what's going to get you to the next level. But as far as like your game, you got to have like a few different speeds that you can throw it to be successful. Whatever for most people, you're going to have whatever your A game is, and you're going to need to learn how to throw it a little bit harder and a little bit straighter. And you're also going to need to learn how to slow down. And for most people who come out on tour, the biggest hurdle is learning how to throw it slower, because everybody throws a little harder whenever you're bowling leagues or anything where there's just not as much oil, and the oil's not as thick, so you're able to throw it harder. And all of a sudden you come out on tour and the ball doesn't hook, and then you throw at that same speed and you're like, all right, well, I'll just set my angles down a little bit, and then it goes high, and then you're watching like you're bowling next to somebody like Chris Prather, he's just like 2 hours lefty, like slow wheeling the whole lane, and you're like, what the hell's going on? Like, this guy's got 10 boards, how's he doing this? And it's all because of like speed and learning how to be accurate with different speeds and different rotations. And one thing I learned a lot, and it's funny because I learned this from Chris Barnes way back in the day, and I used it to my advantage on that show, was like the importance of grip pressure, and how you can like stay in the same parts of the lane by just adjusting how you're gripping the ball, and just being like, it's something that like Rick Benoit, he was a ball rep when I first started, and he worked with Chris a lot, and I would always hear him talk about it. And Chris would stay in a similar part of the lane for a lot longer than a lot of other people, just because he was able to get his hand way softer. And when you're able to get your hand softer, the ball doesn't hook as much in the front, and and then you can kind of hang out in those similar areas. And that was a big thing I learned over the years.
This is some high level stuff, Mike. I hope people are taking notes at home.
A couple people asked what. I would say obviously you like the new black hammer, right? You used it all week on your way to this title through the qualifying and match play. So you like what you see from it so far?
Yeah, we know the one thing that I didn't know, what we were going to be able to do with it is like different drillings, and how much was that really going to affect the ball roll? Because normally, when you used to throw these balls years ago, the urethane balls, you'd always have to drill them pinned down, and you'd put these massive weight holes in them. They'd be like 6 inches from the your center line and grip line, and it would just be these giant holes, and that would make them flare a little bit. And that's how we used all of them. Now you can't do that. And so I was like, all right, if the balls don't really flare, like how much different can we make these balls? But then Mike Wolf drilled me a second one before. He was like in the match play, might have been before the second block or something, and he drilled one pin down, and the one I had was a stronger pin up one, and we drilled one pin down, and that actually made it continue a little bit more, and it was like enough of that was probably like a 2 board difference to the balls, and so that was something that surprised me, that I was able to have two two usable ones, and I could use both of them with a bunch of surface because you're going to need to use it with a lot of surface because if you don't get those balls, if they don't get started in the front, they're never gonna hook. So we're using 360 grit on all of them at all times.
This is an interesting question from Kevin Javier. Chris Barnes mentioned on their show that the players could hear Randy talking in the booth during the telecast. Could you hear that, and was that a distraction?
I think that's always the case. Any show I ever been to, you can hear the broadcasters talking. Except
sometimes, it depends.
Except for the one in Bayside because they put them in the back.
And the one Bayside, they're loud. The crowd's loud too.
Yeah.
But generally, it depends. Like some of the shows where they're like, some of them times they're down the lane. They're like all the way down by the pins, and you don't hear them as much there. But this time, they're in behind us, and I could hear them. Because Randy's voice, he's got a voice that carries, and so I could definitely hear him. But like, I'm not one of these guys that like picks up everything and I stand up at the foul line and it get I'm at the approach and I'm getting ready and I'm like, I hear Randy and it like bothers me. I just I hear him and I'm like, all right, that's Randy, and I just go about my business, and so it doesn't really affect me in that way. But some guys it does.
This leads me to my next question. I'm so excited. Okay. So what do you think of the new rule that might be going into effect with the 0 and you might get a 0 on TV if you go past the shot clock? Have you read this rule? When is this thing going into effect? Is there any more?
No, it was there. It was there on this show. And
Barnes took a timeout at one point in the show.
Yeah. So Tony Lanning, our new tournament director, he, like 30 minutes before the show, is like, "Oh, did you know about the new rule on TV?" I'm like, "No." He tells me about it. I'm pretty quick, so it doesn't really. I don't really. Not something that I paid that much attention to. But it is interesting. I think you get one timeout, and I think you get another warning.
Right.
So I mean, they don't want to give you 0. Like it's just going to get to my guess is that no one's ever going to get 0. Like they're going to tell people like that's the last thing anybody wants to do. But it is more impactful than finding somebody $100.
My solution to that would have been, instead of the 0, financially hitting them in the pocket more, like a $500 or $1,000 fine, so that maybe a result of a tournament isn't affected by the small, slim 1% chance that happens. Then it's not going to affect the score and who wins and who loses. It's more just going to hit you financially.
So this is actually something that when Belmo and I were on the player committee, we tried to get them to do, is just make the fines like outrageous. Right. And they wouldn't do it. Like we couldn't get anybody to do it because it was always like scorecard fines and somebody kicked the ball return, and the scorecard fines were like $25, and he kicked the ball return, it's a $100 fine. No one cares. Make the fine $1,000 for kicking the ball return, and no one's kicking the ball return anymore.
I would gladly pay $100 to kick a ball return.
Sometimes, you're like, whatever. I know I'm only getting $500. I'm wailing this thing. I got to get it out.
I mean, this is 90s money we're talking about, but if Chuck Pisano would have charged us, let's say, $20 to kick a ball return, I would have showed up to every JVT with at least an extra $100 on me for the scholarship fund, just to be able to give a good running boot to 4 or 5 ball returns every single event.
Exactly. But it just got to make the fines to where it makes it cost prohibitive for people to do it. No one wants to have $1,000 come out of their check or write a check for that. So
Bill, Matt Jones, friend of mine, great bowler. Hey Bill, what would you compare the Widow 3.0 to the current EBI line? So you got to give some shouts to Hammer and their 3.0. I know that's their new release coming out. What do you compare that to in the EBI line, and how would you drill it if you were a league bowler or a tournament bowler? Like, any recommendations?
Well, first of all, EBI has been gone for
Brunswick.
4 years now. Well, it's a totally different company. It's Ebonite International and Brunswick. It's a totally different thing.
It's the same.
No, it isn't.
You know what he's talking about.
Okay. So we'll talk about Brunswick and DV8 balls then, or is that?
Yes. The whole Brunswick line, okay?
Oh, now we're in Brunswick. Okay.
He was probably nervous typing it. He was probably nervous typing the question, Bill. You're a celebrity.
There's still an Ebonite line, though, isn't there?
Yeah, there's
Ebonite.
maybe.
Okay.
So it's just Ebonite International was
Okay.
the company that owned the four brands.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all. Yeah, the Widow. It's hard. It's hard to say because I've only thrown it for 1 week, so we'll see more when we get more
Week.
events. Yeah. So once we get more events, you'll be able to see. But I mean, I've liked all the Black Widows. I don't know when the last Black Widow ball that I didn't use. I mean, the ball. It fits really nicely after ball reaction wise before the Widow hybrid. The Widow hybrid is like much cleaner and much whippier down the lane, where this one like is earlier, but it's the problem you get into with like the bigger asymmetric balls is a lot of them they respond really hard. So what I mean by that is like when you throw them and they start to hook, when they make that transition from skidding to hooking, like they do it violently and they turn over real fast, but then they just go forward down the lane. And so it makes it hard to use them for a longer period because they flip and then they go high and they roll out and then you move and then they flip so hard that they just go too forward and you can't use them. And that's why I use the Black Widow so much, because those balls don't do that for me. When they flip and they make that transition, they do it a lot smoother for me. And this one's no exception. And a lot of times I have balls where I can't use them dull and a little bit shiny. Like they just use them. They're just one or the other. Like the Widow hybrid I would probably just use that the way it is, shinier. But the 2.0 ball is pretty good with a little bit of surface on it. And then I drilled another one and took the cover up on it a little bit, and it did exactly what you would think it would do. It's just a little bit longer and a little bit stronger down the lane than the duller one. And a lot of times that doesn't happen with the balls with the bigger cores.
All right, two more things. We got to get them out of here, Rob, because we still have a whole tournament rundown to do for the people here.
I like that.
So the first thing I want to say is that, since your win on Monday, I think a lot about your career, and I think a lot. I'm always deeply thinking about things, sometimes too deeply. And I started to think about, at this point in your career, because like the last thing I texted you before you left was like, I'm gonna curse. I'm gonna say it. I said, yo, go fuck these young bulls up, son. You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of where you're at in your career right now, and you're definitely not one of the younger guys out there. But you're still an all the time threat, right? So I was thinking about our favorite TV show, The Wire, and I was thinking, at this point in your career, who are you on The Wire? Okay, and I have the perfect answer. For it. You are Slim Charles from The Wire of the PBA Tour right now. Okay, and the reason you're Slim Charles, no, listen, I went deep on this. I went too deep on this. Okay, I got notes written down on this. Okay,
Slim Charles.
The reason you're Slim Charles.
Paper.
And I don't care. I don't care what the people watching or in the chat think. If you're not a fan of The Wire, you haven't watched, that's too bad. You need to pause this podcast, go watch the entire series, and then come back and hit play back on the podcast again. But you're Slim Charles of The Wire, the PBA Tour, because you're the guy, you're the OG who has survived, okay, who has survived numerous bosses, right? And I was reminded of a scene from The Wire where Prop Joe has been killed, okay, and Marlowe's been arrested by the cops. And
spoiler alert.
And all the spoiler alert. And all the you're only 15 years late on that. And all the OG gangsters are gathered up trying to get their money together to still use the Greek connection, right? And Cheese, Prop Joe's nephew, played by none other than Method Man. Okay, so somebody asked for some Wu-Tang chat in the chat. There you go. Okay, Wu-Tang connection, Method Man. All right. So he has this speech in this scene, okay, where he speaks that he can come up with the rest of the money, and this one guy kind of questions him like, oh, where you got that money, and we wouldn't have to be putting this money up if your uncle were still running things. And Cheese pulls out a gun and puts a gun in dude's face, in the OG's face. And he goes on a speech, all right? And I transcribed the speech because I thought it fit so well with where you're at in your career right now, okay? And this is I mean,
This is my Barnes
if
reaction
you know
to
me personally, if you know me personally, I hope you appreciate this. Okay,
Yeah.
so he goes on a speech where he says Joe had his time, and Omar put an end to that, and then Marlo had his time, and the police put an end to that, and now it's our time, mine's and yours. But you're just here crying about back in the day. But there ain't no back in the day. There ain't no nostalgia to this here. Just the street and the game and what happens here today. And as Cheese, the young buck, Cheese is the young buck in this situation. As Cheese has the gun in dude's face and he's giving this speech, Slim Charles shoots him, and shoots him right on the spot. And here's my analogy. And all I'm going to give mad praise to Ryan Barnes. I'm going to give mad praise to Ryan Barnes in a minute for his performance. Deserves mad props. But I'm sorry, Ryan Barnes. In this situation, you're Cheese. Ryan Barnes was Cheese, okay? He came to the show. No, hear me out. Hear me out. He came to the show talking there ain't no nostalgia in this, okay? It's about what happens here in the game right now today. And Bill, the OG, said, no. I'm about to teach you a lesson, young bull. Okay, I'm about to teach you a very expensive lesson here. Okay, and yeah, it was just it was awesome to see. It was awesome to watch. It was like vintage Bill O'Neill, man. It was amazing, and I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. And as I said, tonight's the kickoff of the Bill O'Neill Player of the Year campaign, baby. Let's go. Print the T-shirts, get the hats made. Get the rosin bags printed up, okay? Bill O'Neill for Player of the Year. We're going to ride this train all year, all right? Finally, Parent Corner quickly. You got your son a cell phone. He's 11 years old.
I did, yeah.
You got him a cell phone. I'm trying to avoid getting my 10-year-old daughter a cell phone. We show up the mountains for New Year's Eve right after Christmas, and boom, who's got a cell phone? None other than Gavin O'Neill, 11 years old, has a cell phone. So what do you think what do you think has been added to her regiment of arguments to get a cell phone?
Yeah, well, now you
Gavin
know
has a cell phone.
now you know how I felt this entire school year when Gavin, who's now in middle school, comes home every day, and every person in his school has a phone. He's the only one that has a phone.
So these things are scary because these things are scary because they're addictive. They're addictive.
I know. Well, listen, here. Okay, so like all the kids have tablets anyway. Even those the cheapo Amazon tablets that he has, they still got YouTube on them. You still find all the same stuff. But with the phone, like I monitor all the stuff. I have restrictions on my end. I can just do it from my phone. He's on my account, so I set time limits on it. You can restrict apps. You can do whatever you want. But he's going a lot of places now. He's hanging out with buddies. He's around doing things. So like him having some way to be able to communicate with us when, he's off doing whatever the hell he's doing. At least I can know where he is and I can go pick him up if I need to. Where before it was like he's just running around and
just be careful with the games. I'm telling you,
phone brings drama.
Everything brings drama. They're kids. That's all drama. It's the whole thing.
That's why I don't have any.
Yeah.
So I don't deal with it.
That's a fair point.
Listen. You got your kid all over Instagram, and I'm a problem because I got a phone.
Parent run account.
No, you got to tell Gavin though he's got to follow us. Follow us on social media: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook.
He might. Everybody's, all the texts I got after I was done. So I turned my phone on when I got done. I had like 80 messages, and every one of them was some semblance of the same thing, some sort of congrats, something, except for my son. His text message to me. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna read it.
Yeah, this is great. I'm glad I brought this up. This is amazing.
His message said, "You won, period, but no shout out that it was my birthday. You said my name, but not my birthday." That was it.
Did you win on his birthday? Was that Monday?
It was Monday. It was his birthday. And I should have. He's right. I should have said happy birthday. But in fairness to me, it's a whirlwind after you get done. Especially when you win, when you don't think you're going to win. I don't know what the hell was going on. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. And I did forget to mention that it was his birthday.
Here's my parents in the back.
I'll never forget that. We'll never forget that too.
One more thing. We're sitting having dinner tonight, and I told Christy that Mike, you had mentioned like, oh, will we celebrating like maybe on the weekend? Like, what are we doing? And Gavin looks at us with this like really confused look on his face, and he's like, celebrating? What are we celebrating?
Your birthday.
And Chris is like, Dad. He's like, for what? He's like, oh, he just won the tournament. Oh, right, yeah. Like that was Monday, dude. That's old news. He's got no time for that. He wants to know what's going on in his life right now. You know, my wins are relevant.
It's amazing. Here's my parents in the back comment. I'm gonna. We don't even have enough time to get into this. There's kissing going on the bus.
Oh.
Yeah. Son, there's kissing going on.
Now she's still in elementary school, right?
Well, 5th grade, yeah. So some places it would be middle school, but where we're at, it's considered upper elementary.
Right. Okay. But that matters though. Like, is she the oldest person there, or is she the youngest person on the bus?
She's the oldest person on the bus. Yeah.
She had a little boyfriend.
No, but she has a kid who's has a deep crush on her. The kid sent her a love letter before Christmas break. Like literally, like hearts on it. I love you. Got her a Christmas present. Bought her a necklace for Christmas. Okay. She says he's a nice kid. I don't know. I'll have to investigate this myself. But son, there's kissing going on the bus. Okay. That's all I'm going to say for now. I'll give everybody an update later. But this shit concerns me highly, bro.
Oh, dude. So one more thing to add up before you guys go. So this is the phone with the kids, and
stop short.
Gav liked this girl, at his school, and he was dating his buddy or something. I don't know. I don't even know what dating is in 5th grade. They talk and then they don't hang out. They just talk at school and they just tell everybody they're dating. Well, he liked this girl, so he messages his buddy. I guess they'd broken up, and he messages his buddies. He just says, "Hey, give me Ava's number." And so I didn't know this until way later. So he's telling me all this, and I look at his phone and I go, "Yo," he gets the girl's number and he starts texting her, and she doesn't really want any part of it, but he just keeps sending messages. And I look at the phone, I'm like, I'm mortified. I'm like, dude, no, we gotta put a stop to this now. I'm like, you said more than 2 messages and there's no response. That's it. Wrap that up. Quit messaging this girl. I'm like, you send one more message to this girl, I'm taking your phone away. This is it.
I like it.
I'm like, this is a life lesson. You cannot harass people like this.
No, this is important. You got
$1 million worth of games, son. Yo, I mean, you're giving him $1 million worth of game.
Give him my cell. He wants some dating advice. Tell him to give him to me. I've been dating since I was 18.
I know you got it all figured out. And I see his comment. I see his comment right here from James. I'd like to address this real quick.
Yeah.
Put that there.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to win because I thought he was going to strike out.
That's very telling that you admitted that you didn't think you were going to win. I hope this win cures you of that.
We didn't think I wasn't going to win before the match. I was saying that after I split and I was down by a bunch, I thought he was going to strike out. That's all I was saying. I just didn't think he was going to miss again. I didn't go into the match like, well, I'm losing this one. I never think like that. But as the
how many games did you bowl?
50.
50 games, you get to the finals, and you're just like,
that's it.
It's over.
Sorry.
Over.
Sorry. Start the next one.
Start the next one.
U.S. Open 2 weeks. Let's start driving.
All right, man. Yo,
I love it.
Appreciate it.
Bill, thanks for the money, by the way. Appreciate you. I owe you a drink next time I see you.
You want money?
Plus 400, baby. Plus 400. Let's go.
We all made money.
Let's go. Bet Rivers serving it up easy for me on that bet.
Yeah, Bet Rivers
because you didn't parlay.
Well, I straight up.
You can't in the beginning of the week. You basically can only bet to win or to place in the top 2.
Well, the thing is, Bill, though, I'm not going to lie, though. I did hedge in the finals. I did hedge.
That's how you're smart.
Smallwood was plus 100 against you. Why would I not?
Anyway. So
I know how to make money. Mike over here is
because he's always parlaying.
doesn't know how to hedge.
So Bet Rivers gets me with the parlays. The one thing you can do is once the event starts, what they were doing this last week is they were pairing 2 players up, and you could bet on which player was going to have the better block, just that block. Okay,
that's
just
cool.
that 6-game block, and then you could parlay those. So I did a 5-pick of those, and I hit 3 out of 5, of course. So
he's hit
that was only.
Yeah,
That was
I mean,
only
if you bet them all straight up and you hit 3 out of 5, you make money. You know that, right?
Yeah, true. I know.
Right.
I don't. I'm going for the long shot, son.
I know you're the guy that walks by like the progressives in Vegas. You're like, oh, 10 million, I can hit that.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
it.
me.
You got me on that.
On the wall.
Yeah. You got me on that.
Look at the Megabuck machine. I'm gonna hit that.
Yo, shout out your sponsors, please.
Yeah, Hammer Bowling as always. Obviously, first event, right back in the winner's circle. Same old trusty bowling balls. The Irritating the Black Widows. Same old story. Vice Inserts, been with them for a while. And Bowlify.
Jersey's looking good.
They're nice, good. Man. They got new materials they've been using that it has like a little bit of like spandex in them, so they're like stretchy and they're like crazy comfortable.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm happy with it. Happy with all my sponsors for sure.
Snow day tomorrow for the wife and kids.
Yep, everybody. We just got the email like an hour ago. Everybody's off.
Nice, us too. All right, enjoy the snow day tomorrow with the wife and kids. Glad to see you're home.
We do a great job, man. Congrats from everybody.
Hey,
they didn't think we were going to get him again, and we got him again. Another $100,000. Put it in the bank, bro. Let's go. Player of the year. We march on. Get on the bandwagon, because if we win it and you ain't on the bandwagon now, your ass ain't getting on when it's time. Okay?
Yeah, get on now or not at all.
That's it. You ain't ever getting on if you ain't on now. So
week 1 or bust.
Maybe I'll see you this weekend with the weather. Probably not, but maybe. If not, we will celebrate the win at some point in the near future. Thanks for coming on. We always appreciate it. And,
I'll text you tomorrow if we do anything. I'll let you know.
Yeah, no doubt. Let me know. And yeah, we'll talk. But safe travels, good bowling as always. And
appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. And thank you even more for giving it for not going on Beef and Barnsley. We got the scoop over here. You guys ain't scooping our boy from us.
This is a very different interview.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. They ain't scooping our boy from us. You go on there next day, tomorrow, Monday, whatever.
I actually was going to go on today, this morning.
Well, I'm glad that didn't happen. You would have got a strongly worded text from me on my lunch.
I know. What are we going to do? Tell everybody no? I got to wait for,
you should. Well, yes. In our instance,
you're right. Okay.
I got to go on their show.
Well, let me finish the interview. Let me finish the interview with Chris Barnes' reaction. I'm gonna get that on. We got to get Jimmy to put that meme.
That's probably what he did when I texted him that Best Buy was coming to my house to drop off a washer and dryer at 11 o'clock, and I couldn't do that.
Just see me. I'm at work half the day. I'm like doing the Chris Barnes look.
What'd you get? What was Best Buy bringing?
We're redoing our laundry room, so I got a new washer and dryer.
Okay, no doubt. All right. All right, man. Enjoy the night.
All right.
Later. Yep.
Love it. Yo, I love the fact that my brother just posted that we got to put Barnes' reaction on a shirt. I think I can make that happen.
Yeah, that would be a great shirt.
Dude, he would flip.
We better. I mean, listen. I've heard stories that Dr. Barnes is notoriously frugal when it comes to the dimes and nickels. So we're probably going to have to cut him in on that if we do that. So you're going to have to reach out to him.
We should bring Chris on the show. We haven't had him on since he started.
Right.
I'd like to talk to him.
That interview, our only interview with him was an amazing interview. It might be my favorite interview of all that we've
that was before we were on video. That was when we were just doing an audio, like radio, like we were living in the 1990s.
Yeah, no
before
doubt.
COVID. But anyway, all right, Mike, we got a lot to go through still.
Let's go. Let's do first tournament breakdown of the year. I can't wait. I've been waiting all day for this.
I know.
First tournament breakdown of the year. So let's review for the people just how we do things, right? So that if they're new or they forgot, they kind of have an idea of what we're talking about here and they're not completely lost in this segment. So for each PBA tournament, we like to do a formatted rundown of the event. Okay, so Rob and I have certain categories that we're going to go through. And, we have players we're going to highlight for those various categories. excuse me, you guys at home, you can play along. If you get to know the categories, you get to know what we're going to talk about after each PBA event. Like our boy Nico, you can kind of come up with your own list, have your own ideas in mind, and be ready to put them out with us here. So first, we're going to do a segment called Run the Ladder. Okay.
We're gonna make it quick
We're-
this time.
Yeah, we will. We're going to talk about all the matches in the step ladder. Then we have awards to give out. Okay, and those awards are I See You Hoss, which recognizes somebody for their performance. Okay, somebody new, somebody not established, perhaps. All right. We have dumpster diving gold medal. All right,
That's my favorite.
Which is where we
I think
give
we
an
both
award.
have the same award.
We get no. I got a good one on that. I'm going
Okay,
a different direction there. Dumpster
okay.
diving gold medal. We give an award to somebody who did not bowl well. We have ride with, not ride with, which is our award of who we would want to ride to the next tournament with, or who we would not want to ride to the next tournament with. Then we have spare shoota. Okay, spare shoota. Shout to the JBT days. All right, and that goes to somebody who missed an important spare. That's an easy one.
Yeah, that's
we
an
have
easy one.
we have milk carton. Okay, which is highlighting a player that perhaps was up in the standings or was in the running this week that we haven't seen in some time. Okay,
Yeah,
and
he's kind of been MIA or just hasn't been around, and all of a sudden you see his name, you're like, wait a sec, he's bowling.
yeah, and then we can reserve some time at the end for any special comments that you or I may have had about the show.
Okay.
All right, let's run the ladder, Rob. First game was easy because
Easy.
Ryan Barnes
came out like
just came out
smoking. Like,
I mean, like he brought
21
a
years
fire.
old.
He brought a fire to the show, much needed fire to the show.
Much needed.
Like, where's that? Where's
Yeah.
that from some of the more regular guys? Like, that's where's that fire? If you had two players showing that kind of emotion, even if there's no back and forth directly between the two players, that would make a much better show, a much better product. So loved his performance. I cannot say how impressed I was with the way he bowled in that first game. First game
on TV.
major in your home. I mean, all these people are there to watch you. The crowd's going crazy as the introductions are going on. Using a new urethane ball that people don't even know if it's really going to be that effective, and goes out and goes front seven or front eight the first game.
Yeah.
I mean, man, like that'll be something he remembers forever. Like, I'm sure the week was a very memorable week, but particularly that game is just, I mean, that's off the hook.
It's crazy. He literally bowls like Chris, except he's two-handed. The way he starts, you could tell, like Chris, like he is literally a mini version of Chris. He's two-handed though. But
I had that as one of my notes. Is what's with the Barnes?
The Barnes
adjustment, right?
I don't know, but
if
it works.
You're a Barnes, you gotta
start doing that.
I don't know. What is it? It's that like
he has the same approach, the same first two steps. You could probably put it side by side, and literally they look exactly the same. But like he's a two-handed version. He looks like Chris. I mean, it's his son, right? So he looks like Chris. He bowls like Chris, except for the two-handed. It's like kind of it's kind of awesome in a way, right? Like it's just, and here this kid is 21 years old, bowls like nothing phased him, right? Like he went in there like, I'm not just going to be happy to be there. I'm going to win, right? He was there to win. He wasn't there. He wasn't just happy to be there. And I can't say enough good things, man. He did bring a fire to the show. If it was anybody else other than Bill, I probably would have been rooting for him to win. I'll be honest with you. He was in his hometown. I mean, everything you said, spot on. Shouts to Ryan Barnes, unreal talent. The kid really didn't really seriously start bowling until what they say, like COVID, right? 2020, 2019. So like, yeah, man, like he's just going to be getting better. He's got all the talent and he has all the abilities and he's also the resources. I mean, your father is one of the greatest players of all time, right? Like think about the coaching and the just availability he has to some of the greatest knowledge and the resources that Chris and Linda, right, who's a Hall of Famer in her own right. So yeah, I mean there's going to be a lot of eyes. I'm going to have a lot of eyes on Brian Barnes in the future. I think he's got an unbelievable future on tour. if he decides to go that way.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know if that's so guaranteed.
And nothing's guaranteed, right? He's still got to put the work in,
okay.
right? I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm just saying the kid's got an unreal talent.
He's
obviously got a work ethic, right?
Okay,
because of the games he's practicing.
Agree with everything you said, but I know there was a lot of hype around this because of his family ties, right? And there's a lot of hype around this because it was in his backyards, right? But at the same time, this isn't unprecedented.
No,
this isn't unprecedented. This isn't something that we haven't seen before, where a really high level college player comes and makes a show, or makes a run of some kind. So
I'm gonna have to get to the bottom. So yeah,
great job, but like what remains for the future? We still you still have a long way to go before you become a regular factor out there, I would say, right?
Yeah, it's true. Everything's true. Real quick, I want to read this comment because I don't know how true this is yet. I haven't heard of this. I actually chatted with Rash a few days ago. Reported from North Rock that Barnes and Rash got into a verbal altercation at the tournament regarding the exemption. That's interesting. I'll have to do some investigating, Mike.
We talked last week that a lot of players were pissed off about it. And listen, yeah. I can see it from both sides. I can. Like, part of me feels like, if you're worried about some college kids bowling the event and they're beating you, maybe you need to think about another job. Then the other side, of me feels like, well, okay, if I'm out there and I'm a PBA bowler, I'm out there all the time and I'm trying to earn a check, I'm trying to earn a living, etc. And these college kids get an exemption and take a check from me and other guys. All right, how am I going to look at that? How am I going to feel about that? Like, I definitely understand that aspect of it, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't think that there should be so much hoopla over it. I guess I would say.
No. See, I think people are missing the point here, and I think everybody is missing the point. The point had nothing to do with the Wichita kids. It had nothing to do with Ryan and TJ Rock and Robarge. The exemption to get there and them bowling and beating everybody had nothing to do with it. I think what people were pissed about is the fact that Tom Clark is kind of doing what he wants to do. Like, he's just making his own kind of exemptions as he goes. He's overruling his own rules. I think there's a little bit of frustration that they feel like he's doing what he wants to do unchecked in a way, right? So I think that's more of the point of this whole thing than it is actually the way like the Wichita kids bowled, because they earned, look, Ryan, Robarge, TJ Rock, they all earned every pin and every thing that comes with them, how great they bowled. That was not the point, I don't think. I think a lot of people were just pissed that kind of Clark was doing kind of what he wanted to do and giving exemptions. He gave 5 exemptions instead of 4. Like, he was just doing like a lot of things that were like beyond the kind of rules that were already set. So, yeah, Alex Sorge says, yeah, why Shota Bowl? Shota was the 5th exemption. He's only really supposed to give 4 commissioner exemptions, I believe. I think that's actually in the rules, but he gave 5. The rule says collegiate players shouldn't be bowling. It's specific in the rule, and then he let the college kids bowl. There's a lot of things that Tom did that were kind of like he went on his own like path and he did it. And I think that's what's a little bit maybe you want to say maybe he's a hypocrite, Mike, because he's finding pros for breaking rules and talking out of line with his rules, but then he's going and breaking his own rules. I mean, is that fair to say?
I don't think he would agree with that, but I think that there's people that would agree with that.
Okay, I'm just saying both sides of it. I think too many people were focused on the Wichita kids earning their spot in bowling. Like, they were like, well, they earned it, they whatever. Like, I'm not. That's not the point. They've earned everything, and I agree with that. The problem is that's the major point, is that Clark is finding pros for breaking rules because that's what he does. But then he essentially breaks his own rules and does what he wants. So yeah, I think there's both sides to it.
Okay, on to Stubler Barnes. Yes.
Yeah, that was an interesting match to me because I feel like Stubler had the better look.
Oh my God, how did Barnes win that match? Like super impressive. What the most impressive thing to me about his performance on this show was the fact that in this match, when it looked like he was absolutely dead to rights beat, out of gas, confused about what was going on the lanes. You know what he did? He calmed down and he figured it out, and he kept sticking around and hanging around and hanging around.
Hanging
Okay,
around.
and then the next thing you know, Stubler makes an errant shot,
Which is what
shot.
the first that was his first 3.7 he left all tournament.
Yeah, but
Which is
hold
wild
on,
to
though.
me.
That's not the shot I'm talking about. The shot I'm talking about was the first split he left.
Oh, I actually
Okay.
missed that. I went to go to the bathroom.
That was the first errant shot. The shot you're talking about, he actually made an adjustment
Right.
before that shot, and he said afterwards, "I should not have made that adjustment." Okay,
Right.
after the 3.79. So
Okay.
something happened on the right lane first, where he leaked one a little bit left, and it came back looking even better than the way he was playing him a little bit straighter. And he went to the left lane, and he kind of attempted to do the same thing, and that's when he left the 3.79. But this match came down to those two shots. If Stubler makes better shots on those two shots, or doesn't make that adjustment where he leaves the 3.79, even if he goes spare, he's winning this game by a mile.
Right.
Okay, because Barnes set it up perfectly for him. I mean, he goes 4-9 twice in the first 3 frames, I think, right? Makes one of them, spares on the other shot, can't figure him out, can't strike,
4-9.
doesn't have a good look. Stubler, you're right, has a great look. His look was so good, Rob. I felt like if he won this match, he might have won the tournament.
He
might have won the tournament. Okay,
so.
especially if the same kind of thing.
It's not a hot take, Alex.
Happens.
I said the same thing on Twitter. He would have got the first game jitters. I think he had some first game jitters too. Made some bad shots, which was expected, right? And then he, if he got through that first match, Mike, I don't think Bill's beating him, and I definitely don't think Small was beating him. I think he's just going to ride 5 with that black urethane, and it's going to, there's not going to be a lot of carry down for him that he's going to deal with, as Smallwood and Bill would have been dealing with against him.
Who is Nate Stubler to me is like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance, because dude is taking personal insult to things that really should not be personal insult. Like, all they talked about the whole show was, he's 6% vote Rookie of the Year. Oh, he's here to prove himself. And listen, I'll be honest with you. I follow bowling more than almost anybody, and I didn't hear Nate Stubler's name much last year.
No.
So
Nate, in his own, and I talked about this last week. Like, as a bowler, you want to try to find something to have a chip on your shoulder about. It just helps you motivate.
He's Michael Jordan in the Last Dance,
right? Or he's Pete Weber in the U.S. Open match. Yeah, he was Pete Weber in the U.S. Open match against Mike Fagan, yelling at an imaginary kid in the crowd to hype himself up to win. Because I'm still gonna die on that hill. That there was nobody in the crowd that night.
And listen, Barnes in this match, I felt, got fortunate. He tripped the 4.6. He tripped the 4.10.
You gotta get a little lucky on the shows too. Bill
I know.
got a little bit lucky,
and that allowed him to really keep that pressure on Stubler. And shout to Stubler, he threw a great shot, I thought, in that second one in the 10th. I mean,
he got lucky to carry the first 7
because that messenger.
But that second shot, I mean, was really good, especially your first television show as a major, and you need a shot to win. And that's why I said to myself, man, if he throws the strike, like, Bill's gonna have a hard time beating this kid. So yeah,
tell you what I was most impressed with Stubler, the fact that in a PBA major, urethane in question going into it, right? Only lefty on the show. Okay, I mean, to me that says something, because when it's like that, when the lefties have a chance, usually you see the cream rise to the top in most situations, right? And for Stubler to be there on that show, when I'll be honest, I feel like the lefties had a chance throughout the week. It says a lot to me. So
there was some really good lefties that finished really below on their standings too. So that's something too. It wasn't like the lefties had it this week, because they did it, but there's a lot of lefties.
I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was sort of there.
Yeah, it was sort of there, but it was,
there. Yeah.
I thought it was fair, though. I thought it
Kevin
was
Williams
fair.
was high in the standings.
It was,
Jesper bowled pretty
but I thought it
well.
was fair, though. I didn't think it was fair. It was fair because I feel like the righties and lefties both, if you had the right look and the right reaction in the ball, like you were going to score. It wasn't one-sided, is all I'm saying. It was fair, I think. So,
all right, Bill
Mike.
Barnes. Bill Barnes.
Yeah, I mean, look, like we talked about it with Bill. Like
Yeah.
it got to the, it was a close match. I feel like Ryan started to lose his reaction with the urethane, and I feel like he was having a hard time, making those moves that a seasoned veteran like Bill made. Right? I feel like if Ryan Barnes was his first time bowling on TV, it's a different situation, different transitions, carry downs, lights. It moves quicker. There's a lot going on, but when you know as well as I do, when the reaction for a urethane starts to lose, and we talk about this all the time on TV, on the TV shows, it's notorious where there is a certain period in a match when you get to the third and fourth game on TV and urethane's being thrown the first game or two of the first two matches, there's a transition period. And a lot of pros have a hard time getting out of the urethane into a resin quick enough, right? And I feel like Ryan had a little bit of that. I felt like he actually was a lot quicker than a lot of other people were getting out of urethane. And I felt like his father was helping him through that, right? And there was a lot of what ifs, Mike. Well, what if Ryan started with the phase 2 and played left earlier in the start of the match? Does he beat Bill? And you know what? I mean, maybe.
Or Kevin Weeks brings up a good point. What if he used it on the right lane? That
Right.
could have been different too.
That's
but yeah, listen, I mean, those are tough decisions.
Yeah, it's a hard adjustment getting out of urethane on the TV to get the performance. I feel like that's why Bill, his strategy was he was starting with performance. He was starting with the 3.0, and he was going to play right, which honestly worked out. I mean, he won, right? So yeah, like there's a lot of moves that Ryan will learn in his young career when he's on TV, how to move, but it does help having a Hall of Famer father and a Hall of Fame mother who has years and years of TV experience to help him through those transitions, including his ball reps.
Okay. Final match, Bill Smallwood. I mean, again, we talked about it with Bill, but clearly, I mean, listen, like I'm not going to try and have a hot take and say that this was a choke, because I don't think what happened to Smallwood had anything to do with something mentally going on in his head. But what I do think happened to Smallwood is that he just got kind of lost at the wrong time out there, made some bad shots at bad times, and things can change that quickly in a match.
That pair got nasty. I'll tell you what, to me, where Bill won it. The shot that Bill threw in the 9th frame is when Bill won it. That was the best shot, and I would have asked him when he was here, but to me, that was the best shot of probably literally the whole show. Like he was on a strike, the match was kind of close, and he got up and threw an amazing shot in the 9th after a lot of craziness going on with the reactions and the transitions. Smallwood, quoted on the show that he made a wrong ball choice. I think he was using the new Motive Evoke. I think it was a sanded. He went to the new red Jackal, and it looked good. I thought he was going to strike out, like Bill thought he was going to strike out after that 7-10. He kind of started to regroup, and then I feel like he made a couple of really not bad shots, but just not great shots, and then he started to get a little bit lost and a little bit moving around, and I don't know, man. It was. Bill just was able to stay right, stay firm, stay straighter, and it just paid off because Smallwood playing left of him just kind of lost it, essentially.
Yeah, it went away quick. It went away real quick, no doubt.
Yeah, Tim Searles in the chat's right. The 7-10 was bad but I don't think it changed the match because it was close, and I think we all felt the momentum going into the Smallwood camp, really. At one point during the match, I'm like, "There's no way Bill's winning this match." If you were looking at the way the reaction was,
and the 7-10 gave the inkling of hope,
but it was
really the missed 2-8. It was really the missed 2-8 that kind of was like the shocking thing that swapped the door open.
I honestly didn't have confidence that if Bill needed to throw the first shot in the 10th or strike in the 10th, I didn't have the confidence that Bill was actually gonna do it, to be honest with you. I just felt like he had to be too perfect. But and Bill, he's made some unbelievable shots under pressure to win tournaments, especially on TV. So I wouldn't put it past him to do it, but he had to be really perfect. And that's why I think that 9th frame was the shot of the tournament. That's where he won.
Okay. All right. That's Run the Ladder. We're moving on to our awards here. Rob, let's go. I see you, Hoss, first. It's a pretty easy one, right?
I've actually picked someone different.
Okay.
Who are you going to pick?
Well, we have to give it to Ryan Barnes. And
you do, but I'm riding with him. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Who do you got for I see you, Hoss?
I'm going with TJ Rock.
Okay. All right.
Young bull.
Very deserving of it, too.
Young deserving
bull. Of it. I'm also going to throw in there some local flavor for me personally and give my guy Will the Duelich a shout. I know he didn't end up making the cut. I'm not even sure that he cashed, but he was definitely up there, competitive for a good part of the week. I was hoping he was going to make a little run and maybe make match play. But Will, if you hear this, shout to you, bro.
Yo,
I see you, Hoss. Good ball.
I'm rocking with TJ Rock, man. I've been wanting to say that all week.
Okay. Let's go spare shooter. Because it's an easy one, and it's Smallwood. It has to be Smallwood, right?
There's no other choice.
The missed 2-8. I mean, it's just got to be. Sorry, man, not much choice there. All right, let's go ride with, not ride with.
I'm riding with Ryan Barnes. And there's a lot of different reasons why I'm riding with Ryan Barnes. Okay, one, it's going to be a short ride home, right? I'm not going to have to spend in a car with 6 hours driving somewhere. We're probably going literally 15 minutes to probably back to wherever campus he's living.
I'm riding with Ryan Barnes, and we're going right to whatever the bowling house is on WSU's campus. Okay,
I gotta finish. Why?
We're gonna have kegs in the trunk, bro.
No, not when they find out how much shit I'm gonna talk, because I'm gonna be talking so much shit that a Saginaw Valley player beat the Wichita players. And God forbid Gordon Vatican or Mark Lewis are around who are in the crowd. And Gordon, I don't know. I didn't see Gordon, but I know Mark Lewis. God forbid there. I'm talking some shit to them too, baby. I'm going to be like, yo, Sag Nasties, Tom Smallwood, Saginaw Valley, Bill O'Neill, Saginaw Valley. We went into your house, baby, and we ran you guys.
Then they're gonna kick you out. They're gonna kick you out of the car. They're not.
But let me tell you, that video of me streaming, talking so much shit would have been amazing. I would have been on good fun.
I'm riding with Barnes and TJ Rock and Brandon Bonta's probably in the back seat.
roll bars, right?
In the back seat, and we're going right back to WSU, okay? And we're getting some kegs, all right, and we're getting some snacks, all right, and we're inviting whoever wants to come party, and we're throwing flowers on the young man Barnes, okay? And we're celebrating his accomplishment in a big way. Party style. I would be like Will Ferrell in Old School. Okay, first I'd be in the kitchen talking about Bed Bath and Beyond, and then the next thing you know, I'm running naked through the quad. Okay, that's where I'd be.
It.
All right, Kegger in the bowling house.
Going streaking.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Who are you not running with?
Well, hold on. I have one more. I could ride with Marshall Kent.
Okay.
Finish 26th. I feel like that's a good start to the season for Marshall Kent. I feel like
I don't think you would think that. I disagree with that.
I feel like he's probably going to have a positive ride. I feel like it's been a rough couple of years for him.
Marshall Kent, 26. You think that's a positive tournament for him? What are you smoking right now?
He's Hoss. He has
this guy who's won on the tour. You think he's happy with a top 26 finish?
I don't know.
There's no. That's a bad.
And then my last ride with it was Bill, Tommy, and DJ, because they all had a decent week.
Yeah, no, I get that. I would have my other pick that I would have rided with would have been, I would have liked to ride with Stubler, but that was just kind of an obvious. And Christian Ascona too had a great week.
Not ride with was easy for me. I'd probably go Belmo because he was sick.
Belmo,
and I don't want to get sick. Keep your sickness over there, bro.
Yeah, I went to ride with Belmo, for sure. Okay, let's go to dumpster diving, because that to me is always my favorite. Or you want to do milk carton? Let's do milk carton. That's a quick one.
All right, my milk carton was Chris Kelso.
Right too.
Chris Kelso, baby, big dog, big. You know that Tiger Wood Tiger
Yeah.
Woods meme that's going around? Big dog. Big dog.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Chris Kelso.
I
Big
know. That's
dog.
what my pick was.
Oh,
I like
big
seeing
dog.
Kelso. I like seeing
Yeah, no
Kelso.
doubt. I was glad to see him back out there. No
Yeah,
question.
he's a good kid.
Shout to
the-
Kelso.
dumpster diving. I mean, that's got to go to Frankie Lavoie, right? 2-time U.S. Open champion, finishing last. I mean, there's no. This is the award.
I'm gonna go in a little bit of a different direction. I had multiples for this too. I'm gonna go Arnar Johnson from Iceland. From Iceland, bro. You came from Iceland. You
But he
came
made it
all
through
you came
PTQ,
all the
though.
way from Iceland.
But he made it
Okay.
through PTQ, right? From Iceland.
Yeah, but like then you finish
a
in the
win.
bottom few of the field, coming all the
I
way
would be
from
happy
Iceland. I don't
if
know, bro.
I bowled the PTQ and made it through. I'd be happy with that performance, regardless of what I finished. Frankie is a 2-time major U.S. Open champion and finished dead last.
Ooh, I feel like this might be the hottest take of the night. Blake Ernest with the fire. He says dumpster diving should be Tommy Jones.
I like it.
Goes
I like
from
that
leading to out of match play in one day.
Damn,
Blake, damn.
Mike, that's a fair call out.
Okay, yeah, that's why I said it's a hot take. Can I say that dumpster diving gold medal gotta go to Ryan Simonelli?
Oh,
I mean, especially off of like all the PBA league hype of last year. I'm disrespected and
chip on his shoulder.
disrespected and like he bowled great at the PBA league, and then you got Nate Stubler making a show. You got Packy finishing 6th. You got Kevin Williams making the cut as well. Where's Ryan Simonelli at? He's in the bottom of the field. I mean, and I felt like it was that way for the majority of the season last year. So I would have to go dumpster diving gold
All right,
medal
I'm
there.
with that. I'm with that. Okay. All right, Mike. That's the rundown.
Baby. I got a few special mentions. Okay. I want to mention a few special things here. Don't know if anybody. I watch the show like a weirdo. I feel like there's things that I notice in the show that I might only notice, but then I think to myself, no, well, I have a whole community of bowling weirdos that I talk to every week. So let me see if they notice some of the same things I notice in the show. The Shocker mascot just randomly standing in the back. Shout to the Shocker mascot. He looked lost, honestly. He's like way in the back, like just looking around the whole show. I thought it was the strangest thing. Okay. Shout to the decks. Shout to the pin decks at North Rock, because they look like the nicest pin decks I ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Did you see those pin decks?
Yeah, they were.
Those are some beautiful pin decks.
Pins were bouncing out of those pin deck. I saw literally like during the stream, like pins just popping out of the pin deck. Like I was surprised Smallwood almost made the 710 on TV against Bill. I wouldn't have been that wouldn't have been surprising. I mean, everybody else would have been surprised, but if you've been watching the stream all week, you would know like that's real possibility of how good those pin decks were. I mean,
guy in the crowd with the nice try scrub sign. There was a guy in the crowd that at some point held up a nice try scrub. Yo, homie, who you talking to?
Yeah, hit us up.
Who you talking to?
Email.
You talking to our boy? I hope that sign wasn't for our boy. That's a reason for confrontation, bro.
Yo, someone who's watching this, reach out to this kid. We want to know the context behind the sign. I'll bring him on with the sign. I want to know that context behind that sign. Get a hold of that kid and tell him we want to talk to him.
Tim Swirls. This is my favorite comment of the night. Pin decks looked ready for string pins. You ain't kidding, bro. You ain't kidding, Bolero.
Yep.
Okay. Two more observations here, random observations. Shout to Brandon Bonta for the positive talk to his boy. Like, Barnes would be getting up to throw a shot, and it would get, like, super quiet pin drop, and all you'd hear is Brandon. I'm pretty sure it was Brandon Bonta from what I could see on the TV. He'd be like, all right, kid, come on, let's go. You got this. And so, like,
sometimes that's all you need.
I know, right? Like, hit me right here. I feel you on that. And then my last random comment was kind of weird that like Randy got so choked up about Bill Chrisman that he had to like bring in John Fanta to finish.
I heard
what he was saying.
And
it was kind of weird to hear John Fanta, who's not a regular, person in the bowling world talking on and on and on about Bill Chrisman. I mean, obviously coming from somebody within the bowling community, but it was just strange occurrence to me.
The thing about like Fanta is he's been getting a lot of heat from the bowling world about like his commentary and stuff, and I didn't really mind Fanta, to be honest with you.
I liked him. I like him, and I just thought it was weird that all of a sudden he had to like step in and finish this statement. But
yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, it's still like, Randy's probably known Bill for probably his years, decades. But back to Fanta, like I sometimes rather hear Fanta than hear sometimes like Rob Stone's like cheesy one-liners. I'd rather hear Fanta and like more of a like play-by-play announcer than a Rob Stone like dropping just weird lines and just trying to be like really funny. I think an announcer like a Fanta, makes the majors seem a little bit more serious when you don't cheese it up with those like, cheesy. I keep calling them cheesy because they are. Mike, who is the? I'm thinking of the announcer who we both really like. He does a lot of the streams on. He's a great. I wish they would have brought him in. What's his name? I forgot. I'm having a senior moment. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, man. We both like him. He's really good. He's on Twitter. We sometimes try to reach out to him.
Dave Lamont.
I preferably would have rather have Dave Lamont. I love Dave Lamont. I feel like his voice, everything about Dave Lamont is great for bowling on TV, and he's serious play-by-play announcer. And, I don't mind Randy, throwing in every once in a while some of his, cheese and one-liners. But for a major, I'd rather have a little bit more of a serious commentary.
No doubt. All right, Rob, that wraps it up. First event of the year. That's it. That's what we got for the people.
Let's next one for the U.S. Open.
Let's give them what they came for, son. You want to go first? I'm gonna be honest. You're gonna get mad at me, but I got a hell of a long worst of the week this week. So you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'm gonna go first because I had two that I was really debating. I'm gonna throw this out to you though. I saw a stream or a TikTok or a short reel where there was a person, a girl who posted that her first date on a Hinge, went to a bowling alley, and he brought his equipment into the bowling center, and he was cleaning his balls, he was putting his hand like sock on, and she was like videoing this whole like date experience, right? Being someone who dates a lot and understands the dating world probably better than anybody at this point, there wasn't one point in my life where I went on a first date. First off, I would never go on a first date bowling. Okay. That would be the last place I would go on a first date. If I did go on a first date, there's no way in hell that I would bring my bowling balls in, my shoes. I would literally go in there as an average bowler. The problem is am I being dishonest on the first date by doing that? Like if I'm undercutting my performance as a bowler and I'm sandbagging to a certain extent, right? Because I don't want this girl to like know I'm this like crazy bowler. Am I being dishonest from the get-go? Like by this guy bringing in his bowling equipment and bringing in all of his bowling balls and his shoes and cleaning his ball and doing everything, is he being straight from the get-go? I mean, is he being himself? Like, so there's a part of me that wants to be like
he looked like a patch pirate a little bit.
He was, but I'm not gonna call him a patch pirate. I'm maybe a league bowler, right? I'm not gonna call him a patch pirate.
So no patch pirate is being up front, period. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I preferably wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't go on a first date and bring all my stuff in. But is this guy just being himself and owning himself as a bowler by being like, you know what, girl? This is me. This is my equipment. This is my shoes. I even got a hand wrist. And love me or hate me, but this is who I am. So there's a little bit of also like respect for this kid too. But I kind of wanted to talk about it because as a bowler who dates, I just, understand like why it's sometimes tempting to go on a date with a girl as a bowler and try to like show your shit, right? Yeah, what's up, baby? Like I'm gonna strike, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. So I don't know. I thought it
In
was
fact, I think, like you said, like don't go bowling on a first date, right? Especially if
yeah,
you're a bowler.
yeah,
I
no, I
think, in
won't.
fact, like if you're a bowler, that's probably something you should try and compartmentalize from your prospective significant other for probably as long as possible. Like, not only don't take them on a date bowling early in the dates, but don't bring them to your league. Don't bring them to a tournament. Don't tell them about your various practices and things that you do in terms of
100 bowling
bowling.
balls in my storage room that like that's there's a reason why they're in my room under my a stairwell and they're not hanging up on a mantle in my dining room. It's because I don't want a girl to walk into my house and see 15 to 35 bowling balls. I can't imagine that going over good. Could you imagine her going back to her friends after the date and being like, yeah, I went back to his house, but I couldn't get to the couch because I had to walk around 35 bowling balls. Like, it's just not exactly something that you want their friends to go, talk about. So anyway, all right, Mike.
Oh,
Jeff Butler,
Jeff
man.
Butler, our guy.
That's my
Jeff
co-Bill
Butler.
O'Neill champion.
Jeff Butler, our guy, popping in with a story. Third or fourth date with his wife. And can I say, uh, Jeff's wife, extremely attractive girl, was a Dallas Cowboys dance team member. Okay. Third or fourth date, he rolls in. Third or fourth date with his now wife. She wanted to go bowling. He rolls in with the 3-ball bag, new Dexters, and even threw on some new skin.
I love
Risky,
it.
Jeff. Risky, bro.
Dude, he went
Risky.
for it, man. He owned that he was the bowler, man. That's what I'm saying is, you know what? Sometimes you just got to be who you are. And then if she accepts you, then she accepts you. So she accepted Jeff for his new skin and his new Dexters. And look at him now. Look at all the kids in his picture. He's got like 4 kids. So, I mean, obviously it worked. Obviously, she went back to her other Dallas Cowboy cheerleader friends and was like, hey, like, yo, he had 3 balls and Dexters, man. I'm going to have 4 kids with this kid. And that's what happened.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. That's too much. All right.
I love it.
I'm moving on to my worst of the week.
Oh God, strap in, get your helmets.
Oh man, oh my goodness. Honestly, I could do a half a show on what I'm about to talk about.
All right, let's go quick.
Worst of the week.
Let's go. Let's get this. Man.
Oh, don't rush me. Don't rush me on this one. Okay,
man, I'm
it's
hot as hell here.
It's early your time, and I'm off tomorrow. I don't want to hear it. Okay, people in the chat, raise your hand for me if you're familiar with this 220 average bowler dude on YouTube. Okay. Are you people familiar with this guy? You watched any of his videos?
What's his? Yeah. So that's what's called 220 average bowler.
Yeah, 220 average bowler.
All right, so go for it
on YouTube.
Go for it.
So he recently released a video about how he's going to save the bowling world.
Okay, what is he going to do?
And you know what? Like I have somewhat enjoyed this guy's content at times because he does do some like really funny off the cuff stuff and. He does take bowling seriously somewhat. He's bowled a few regionals, it seems like, and he switches between one hand and two hand. And like I've watched some of his stuff, right? But I think I put the video out on Twitter. If anybody wants to go to my Twitter at the 215 and check it out. But he put a video out about how he's going to save bowling. Okay, and Simo in the chat. What up, man? What's going on? Safe travels out there, Hoss. Hope everything is well. So he put this video out, and this video is just riddled with bullshit. Okay, can I just?
I haven't seen it. So you're talking to someone who's never seen it.
So his first thing that he gets into is that when he was 18 and he was looking at all right. Let me generalize. He's basically criticizing the earnings of PBA players. Okay, he's basically criticizing the earnings of PBA players. And he goes back to the old cliche, Rob, that every hack of a bowler who bowled seriously uses. And that cliche is, oh, well, when I was thinking about going on the pro tour, pursuing bowling as a profession, I decided against it because it just wasn't enough money. And you know what? I'm going to use this as an opportunity to call out anybody who's used that as an excuse over the years for why they never took a shot at the pro tour, or never won a title, or never got to that level of bowling. Okay, because it's just bullshit. All right, because if you were good enough and you really did have the talent, okay, you would be out there and you would make enough money. You would make it happen. Okay, so I'm tired of hearing that. All right, I'm tired of people walking around of all different generations saying, "Oh, well, I would have went on tour if there was enough money." No. Let's be honest. You would have went on tour if you were good enough, and you weren't good enough, and that's it. It ends at that. Okay. So that was the first thing that he gets into. Then I'm not even going to give you a breakdown of every single thing that he says. It's just too ridiculous. But his other argument basically is that he's going to save bowling through social media. He's
How's he
going to
gonna do that?
save bowling through social media collaborations. And then he starts going on this list of like, oh, well, I've done a collaboration with this, and Darren Tang's done some collaborations with that. And this website or this bowling YouTube has done some collaboration with that. And if we continue to do this, we're gonna build the bowling community up through this. We're gonna bring in people from outside the sport who don't play the sport, who don't know about sport, aren't interested in sport. We're gonna make them interested in it. And then, as like Rob, as an aside in this conversation about the influence of social media on bowling, as an aside, this dude says, "Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Jason Belmonte did a video with Dude Perfect." Well, dope. Okay. If the biggest bowler in the world, the biggest name in bowling in the world, okay, and a one of the biggest YouTube pages in the world, Dude Perfect, all right, Jason Belmonte on one end, Dude Perfect on the other. If they have already done a collab, okay, multiple collabs as a matter of fact, I think, okay, and it hasn't led to any real exposure, real change, real interest, etc. Okay, what makes you think that your YouTube page is going to make the difference, bro? Okay, I mean, I think we need to get off of that. I think that we need to pack it in on social media collabs are the way to build bowling. I think that it's we've already proved that we went down that road to a large extent, and we're not getting the return on investment that we thought we would. Okay, I think it's very fair to say that. So to see this dude come on and say he's going to save bowling, I mean, we're talking about Dude Perfect, my man. They got like followers in the triple digit millions. Okay, and you're talking about some YouTube page that is on level with where we're at, and we're gonna save bowling. Like, come on, we need more serious conversations about what's gonna save bowling
I'll
than
tell you
than
what's going
than
to save
some
bowling.
than some lip service
Bill, what's
about
up?
social media saving bowling. Like, we've been down that road. It ain't gonna happen. Some of the biggest bowlers in the world have YouTube pages. I know they have 100,000 followers. Guys, let's be honest. 100,000 followers ain't shit on YouTube. Okay, it might be impressive in the bowling world, but it ain't impressive across the board. You got YouTube pages with hundreds of millions of followers out there. So yeah, I just don't see that as a viable road to go down. There's more in the video if you want to watch it that I really struck me, and I was like, I got to give this worst of the week. But 220 average guy, congratulations, bro. You won worst of the week. You want to come on our podcast and talk about it? You want to have a
You want to
discussion
collab?
about it?
You want to have a collab?
Nah, we ain't collabing, but you want to come on here and have a legitimate discussion about it? I'm open to that.
Let's collab.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Mike.
like Belmo has made it a priority to do that kind of stuff throughout his entire career. And look, like, again, is the bowling community getting the return on investment on that they thought they would? I just don't think so.
All right, Mike. That's a good worst of the week. Let's go. Let's finish this up.
Final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of what you just said because there was something very interesting that was highlighted during the Bowl stream, the Bowl TV stream this week, is the fact that there is an independent film crew there filming Ryan Barnes, as well as I believe Chris Barnes, and I think some various other bowlers. I think this specific film company is going to be trying to film a lot of the pros in the PBA tour and sell to some of the big streaming services, including a Netflix, a Hulu, Peacock. You want to talk about what can save bowling? And first off, I don't know if bowling needs to be essentially saved right now. I think bowling is trending upward. All the numbers have suggested it, according to Chad Murphy, the ratings, the Fox, the deals, the money that's going into the tour right now. I don't think bowling needs to be saved. I don't think it's dying, essentially. I think there's certain aspects of the game that are dying, but I don't think essentially needs to be saved. I just need to say that. The other thing is like what can really make bowling really get over the popularity hump is a very good filmed documentary of a Netflix, and I went into a big article about that on Jeff Riggle's 11frame.com about how bowling is boring and what it can do to get interest in the sport from outside viewers, and that is something like a Netflix documentary, Hulu documentary, even a fictional show like a Queen's Gambit, which we've talked about, where it highlights the serious competitiveness of bowling and what exactly goes into it, not just the cliche of somebody, some average Joe coming in after work with his buddies wearing an ugly shirt and being a joke and bowling a league, which seems to be what the mainstream media cliche of the sport of bowling is. That's what bowling needs more than anything right now. Use these platforms, the popularity of the Netflix, Hulus, and Peacocks, to finally put out some serious, really good bowling content where mainstream media can't make a joke out of it. And that's my final thought.
All right, my final thought is Nico already brought it up. They just announced it right before we came on the air, pretty much. Congrats to the
USBC, the Hall of Famers.
2024 USBC Hall of Fame for superior performance. Missy Parkin, Tommy Jones, Sean Rash, three deserving players. Kevin mentioning that Randy Peterson's still not in, asking our thoughts. I mean, yeah, I think it's crazy. But I'll say what I said. I'll say what I said on Twitter to Jeff Rickles. Like, I really truly believe, Kevin, that if you're in the PBA Hall of Fame, that speaks for itself. Like, once you're in the PBA Hall of Fame, do you really need to be worried about any other bowling Hall of Fame? Like, the PBA Hall of Fame is the gold standard. That's the gold standard for Hall of Fame, right? Yeah. So I don't know. To me, if I'm Randy Peterson, I tell the USBC Hall of Fame to kick rocks. I'm already in the most prestigious Hall of Fame in bowling. And as we all know in bowling, like if you're in one Hall of Fame, you pretty much came up through the game. So yeah, almost by default, you should be in any lower Hall of Fame if you have made it to that level. Who in bowling comes and performs at a Hall of Fame level that didn't perform at an amazing level in the other earlier stages of bowling? I mean, you just don't see that. So that's my final thought. Shout to them, but I don't think that people should be all that worried about it. Rob, we'll be back next Thursday. There's no bowling this weekend. There's football this weekend.
There is. U.S. Open is next week, people.
Bills are going to beat the Chiefs this weekend. It's my lock of the week. Okay, it's my lock of the week. Yeah, Bills are going to beat the Chiefs this weekend.
All right.
We will be back next Thursday. Yes.
U.S. Open.
U.S. Open is up. Okay. Some people call it the best week in bowling.
Can Bill go back-to-back majors?
Well, it is where he won the U.S. Open. Do you know that? It's in Indianapolis where he won. So
back-to-back majors,
man. If he wins back-to-back majors, I'm just telling everybody, you better calm me down, bro.
We're gonna be very loud and obnoxious. So
yeah,
we're gonna have him on 2 weeks in a row.
Absolutely. Nico's asked if I'm putting parlays down. Absolutely. I mean, I love this weekend. Last weekend's probably my favorite weekend of the year. This weekend might be my second favorite weekend of the year. I actually had some plans to go to AC this weekend, but I think they're going to get quashed because of the weather here. So,
all right. Well, let's wrap this up. We've been almost we've talking extreme OT. We might get zeros from the PBA.
It was worth it though. It was worth it. Had our boy on.
We had
to do our breakdown. Hope the people enjoy it.
Yo, follow us on TikTok. I started a TikTok. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with it, but I'm gonna try it out to get the show out to new viewers. You know, first time listening and you enjoyed it, tell your friends, man. We try, it's cool to get new viewers and new people in the chat and get more exposure. We do this for fun. We're not doing this to make money. We're not making money.
Shouts to our people. Shouts
to our craft for staying with us for 2 hours, man. We're like a full-time movie. 2-hour movie. This is crazy.
Appreciate
we appreciate everybody.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Everybody listen to this after the fact. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed our rundown. If you're new to the show, get with us. You can follow along next week when we have
Email
a
us.
tournament to discuss. Email us, sweeptherack@gmail. Sorry we didn't get to some things that we wanted to get to. We wanted to get some emails. We wanted to get to Chad Murphy's announcement. Listen, PBA's back, baby. That takes precedence around here. When we have time, we'll follow up on those things maybe next week. All right, Rob. Have a great week. Later. Everybody out on the East Coast, stay safe, stay off the roads, drive safely. Have a good weekend.
Later,
Talk
guys.
to you next week, folks.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.